Every mountain gives you a warning. You smell the brakes. You feel the grade. You hear the engine climbing. A bridge doesn't do any of that. A bridge is the one place on your route where the road decides everything and you decide nothing. No shoulder to take, no ditch to aim for, no exit for the next 4 miles. You're just committed. And the thing about a bridge is that it never argues with you. It doesn't slow you down or flash a light. It simply enforces the laws of physics at whatever speed you happen to be doing. So tonight we're counting down 20 bridges in America that drivers file away permanently after the first crossing, from bad to the worst in the country. Every single one has hard numbers behind it. State data, federal crash reports, NTSB findings, or 50 years of the same warning repeated on Channel 19. And waiting at the top of this list is a crossing where a loaded tractor-trailer was picked up by the wind and thrown clean off the side into open ocean, and the driver was still alive, standing on the roof of his floating truck when the Navy helicopter got there. That's number one. And number two is a bridge so feared that for over 20 years, people have paid strangers cash money to get in the driver's seat and take their vehicle across for them. Let's get into it. Number 20, the Norfolk Southern Gregson Street Overpass in Durham, North Carolina. You know it as the can opener, and it's on this list for the same reason a 4% grade in Kentucky makes a mountain list. It's the teacher. Built in 1940 with a clearance of 11 feet 8 inches, back when that was standard, the national standard went to 14 feet in 1973. But nobody makes you rebuild an old bridge, so it sat there. Since 2008, a man named Jürgen Henn has run cameras on it and logged every single strike. By the middle of 2025, the count was up past 187. They raised the thing 8 inches in 2019, and it took less than a month for another truck to feed it. What makes Durham a lesson instead of a joke is the failure mode. There are signs at 3 intersections before it. There's a giant flashing overheight, must turn board. Drivers sit at that red light for a full minute staring at it, then floor it when the light turns green and lose the roof. The cost of the can opener is usually just sheet metal and pride. It's the cheapest tuition you'll ever pay to learn that your truck has a number on it, and that number is your responsibility, not the signs. Number 19, the low bridges on Storrow Drive and Soldiers Field Road in Boston. The word for this is local, getting storrowed. Storrow is a 1951 parkway along the Charles River, cars only, always has been. The maximum clearance across the whole thing is 10 feet, and some spots are down around 9 feet. A 26-foot box truck stands 13 feet 6 inches tall. The math doesn't work. It has never worked. Not one day since Eisenhower. Massachusetts logged 14 bridge strikes on those parkways in 2024, trending toward the highest count in a decade. The Harvard Street Bridge alone has been hit over 30 times in 10 years. The state's own agency now makes horror movie parody videos for Move-In Week and hangs reinforced signs at bridge height with rubber on the bottom so an overheight truck gets a soft tap as a final warning. Think about that. The state built a bridge that punches you in the roof as a courtesy. And here's the part that should bother you because everyone blames college kids. Local movers say it's overwhelmingly professional drivers from out of town. Google Maps and Waze do not model your height. They never have. They will route a trailer that is 13 feet 6 inches tall under a bridge that is 11 feet 8 inches high and never blink. The cost of Storrow is a peeled roof, a $200 stack of fines, and a truck full of somebody's furniture in the middle of a Boston travel lane. Number 18, the Eagle Avenue Overpass on the Southern State Parkway, Long Island, New York. 7 feet 7 inches. Not a typo. It's one of the lowest structures on any Long Island parkway, and the State Department of Transportation says it gets hit by vehicles that are over height about 3 times a year, every year, forever. The parkways here were not accidents of engineering. Robert Moses built them in the 1920s and the 1930s with the bridges deliberately low. Southern states' eastbound bridges average under 9 feet, 4 of them under 8 to keep buses off his road to Jones Beach. A century later, the trap is still armed. Locals call this stretch Blood Alley. 43 fatal crashes in 5 years. In 2018, a charter bus full of high school students coming home from Europe hit a southern state overpass and had its roof taken off. Doctors called it a miracle nobody died. The driver was not using a commercial GPS. The cost on the southern state is that the bridge does not just take your roof. It sprays your roof across 3 lanes of 55 miles per hour traffic behind you. And the state has come after fleets for bridge repair costs north of 6 figures. Number 17, the John A. Roebling Suspension Bridge, Cincinnati to Covington. This one earns its spot for a very specific reason. It's the trap that opens up when another bridge closes. The Roebling opened in 1867, longest suspension bridge in the world at the time, built by the man who would later design the Brooklyn Bridge. Since 2007, it's carried an 11-ton weight limit, that's 22,000 pounds. An empty tractor by itself blows past it. A bobtail with an empty trailer can hit 35,000. Now, here's what happened. In November 2020, when the Brent-Spence Bridge shut down, and we'll get to the Brent-Spence, GPS units and desperate drivers started routing semis over the Roebling. In less than an hour, one reporter counted 12 tractor-trailers crossing a 158-year-old suspension bridge rated for 11 tons. Covington police closed the whole bridge that night rather than keep arguing about it, and Cincinnati PD went on Twitter to essentially beg drivers to stop. The cost of the Roebling is the one nobody puts on your DAC report. You find out what your rig weighs when a 19th century national landmark starts telling you. Number 16, the Delaware Memorial Bridge, Newcastle to Pennsville. Twin suspension spans on the Interstate 295 corridor and one of the busiest pieces of the East Coast run. It makes this list because of something the Bridge Authority has quietly operated for about 70 years, the Acrophobia Escorts Program. If you cannot make yourself drive across, a patrolman meets you at the head of the bridge, gets in your seat, and drives your vehicle over for you. That is not a novelty. In 2017, they made 323 of those transports. The year before, 468. About 60% are repeat customers. One patrolman described a soldier who jumped out of airplanes for a living and could not cross that bridge. There is a name for it, Jepherophobia, and it hits hardest under 2 conditions, sleep loss and stress. Read that sentence again, and then think about what your last 3 weeks looked like. The cost of the Delaware Memorial is not equipment. It is the discovery that height and exposure can find a soft spot in a driver who has never had one, on a night when the clock has already taken everything else. Number 15, the Ambassador Bridge, Detroit to Windsor. Opened in 1929, privately owned, and it still moves an enormous share of everything the United States and Canada trade with each other. Roughly 10,000 trucks a day funnel across 4 narrow lanes with no median and no shoulder straight into customs. The danger here isn't the water, it's the compression. You've got a 1929 deck carrying 2,026 freight, ramps that dump into surface streets, and a queue that can stack across the whole span. When one truck stalls on the Ambassador, there is no room to go around it. There's no room to stop around it either. And you're not just carrying freight, you're carrying a border crossing's worth of paperwork, which means the truck ahead of you might stop for reasons that have nothing to do with driving. The cost of the Ambassador is hours, and hours here are international. Miss your window and you're not late to a dock. You're late to a country. Number 14, the Astoria-Megler Bridge, where US 101 crosses the mouth of the Columbia River. 4 miles of steel between Oregon and Washington, and it is the loneliest thing on this list. 2 narrow lanes, almost no shoulder, a cantilever section at the Astoria end that climbs to nearly 200 feet so ships can pass underneath, and then a long, low run across the water where the wind coming in off the Pacific has an entire ocean of runway. This bridge spent years on the federal poor condition list before recent inspection work moved it back up. When the coast socks in, and it socks in constantly, you're crossing 4 miles of river mouth with a wall of fog on one side and the Pacific on the other. There is nowhere to pull off. There is nothing to pull off onto. The cost of Astoria-Megler is total exposure with no audience. Break down out there and you become the obstacle for everybody behind you on a bridge with no lane to spare. Number 13, the Hood Canal Bridge in Washington State. This one floats. Actually floats 1.5 miles of concrete pontoons sitting on saltwater, one of the longest floating bridges on Earth, and the only one anywhere crossing tidal water this deep. And it does exactly what you are afraid it does. It opens in the middle for Navy submarine traffic out of Bangor, which means the road you are driving on can simply be removed while you wait. It closes for high wind because a floating deck and a 53-foot sail do not negotiate. And in 1979, the western half of the original bridge broke apart in a storm and sank to the bottom of the canal. The cost of Hood Canal is the reminder that the road is a promise somebody made you, not a law of nature. Some days the promise floats away. Number 12, the Mackinac Bridge, Michigan. 5 miles across the straits, and the operators have wind procedures so specific they read like a hazmat manual. Sustained 20 to 35 miles per hour, high-profile vehicles are told to hold it to 20 miles per hour. Push higher, and they escort you across in groups. Higher still, and it becomes a partial closure with cars, vans, and empty pickups only. No tonneau covers, no bed caps, nothing that can peel off in the air. Semis with enclosed trailers are simply not going, and they'll drive your truck for you. The Mackinac Bridge Authority runs a driver assistance program where their own staff will take the wheel, waiver signed, checklist completed. They also don't salt the deck because the steel would corrode, so they warn for ice instead of treating it. Now, the authority is very direct about the legend. No vehicle has ever been blown off the Mackinac. Over 200 million crossings since 1957, and only 2 have gone over the rail, neither from wind. But in July 2013, a truck tipped over against the railing up there. In December 2022, a mobile office trailer did the same thing. Both times the bridge shut down until they could drag it off. The cost of Mackinac is your calendar. It is the only place in America where a dispatcher's plan can be overruled by a wind gauge. Number 11, the Lake Pontchartrain Causeway, Louisiana. Nearly 24 miles across a lake, 2 lanes each way, low over the water, with crossovers spaced out like mile markers and essentially nothing else. It is the longest continuous bridge over water in the world, and for about half an hour, you have no options at all. The lake makes its own fog. It rolls in fast and flat, and visibility on that deck can go to nothing while you are 12 miles from either shore. Causeway police shepherd traffic through it when it gets bad, because the alternative is a chain reaction pileup in a place where the only escape lane is Lake Pontchartrain. The cost of the Causeway is arithmetic that isn't in your favor. 24 miles at 45 miles per hour in fog is over half an hour, where the only thing keeping you alive is the space you left in front of you, and the only thing you can control is that space. Number 10. The Atchafalaya Basin Bridge on Interstate 10. Yeah, we covered this one in the last video, and I'm putting it here anyway because you cannot make an honest list of American bridges and leave out 18.2 miles of interstate standing on legs over a swamp with no shoulders and no exits. Quick refresher for anybody new. More than 1,500 accidents on that span in the past decade. The Louisiana legislature got so tired of it, they declared the whole bridge an official highway safety corridor. Fines doubled, $350 for the first offense, $1,000 after that, trucks in the right lane. When it closes like a submarine hatch, and drivers have posted about sitting on it for 8 straight hours. The cost of the Atchafalaya is that it's the only place where a blown steer tire, a fog bank, and a texting four-wheeler can all be the same problem. Most roads at least offer you a ditch. Quick pit stop before the heavy hitters. If this list has already made you rethink one crossing on your route, hit that like button. It costs nothing, it takes 1 second, and unlike a bridge strike, it will not require you to explain anything to your safety department. Number 9. The George Washington Bridge and the Fort Lee approach. Interstate 95 at State Route 4, New Jersey. For 7 straight years, this was the #1 truck bottleneck in the entire United States, according to ATRI, the trucking industry's own research group. 7 years. It only got dethroned in the 2026 list by a Chicago interchange, and it is still sitting at number 2. Here is the number that should stop you. ATRI puts the congestion delays inflicted on American truckers at the equivalent of 436,000 drivers sitting idle for an entire year. Average peak hour truck speed at the top 10 bottlenecks is under 30 miles an hour. And the George Washington Bridge is where the whole Northeast tries to fit through one structure at the same time. Lower level with reduced clearance, upper level in the wind, the Cross Bronx waiting on the far side like a punishment. The cost of the George Washington Bridge is your life measured in 15-minute increments you will never get paid for. Nobody dies here. You just spend a piece of your career here and it never comes back. Number 8. The Skagit River Bridge, Mount Vernon, Washington. This is the entry that proves a bridge can kill you over 6 inches. May 23, 2013. A truck tractor with a flatbed hauling an oversized load southbound on Interstate 5. It had a permit. It had a pilot car in front of it. The load was 15 feet 11 inches. The lowest sway brace over the right lane was 14 feet 8 inches. But the inside lane was around 17 feet, and that's where overheight loads were supposed to be, except nothing told the driver that. No signs, no lane guidance. The state's own database only kept the maximum clearance, not the minimum, and the permit came back automatically from a website with nobody reviewing the route. Then a second semi started passing him. He said he felt squeezed. He drifted right. The load clipped the sway braces, and a 160-foot span of Interstate 5 dropped into the river with cars on it. The NTSB pulled the thread and found the ugliest fact in this whole video. Overheight strikes in this country average about 4 a day. And when they rebuilt Skagit, they gave it 18 feet of clearance across every lane, the fax that would have cost nothing to have done in the first place. The cost of Skagit is the discovery that I had a permit is not the same sentence as I fit. Number 7. The Interstate 95 overpass at Cottman Avenue, Northeast Philadelphia. June 11, 2023, a Sunday morning. A tanker with about 8,500 gallons of gasoline came off northbound Interstate 95 onto a downhill, left-curving off-ramp. The NTSB estimated 44 to 54 miles per hour on a ramp posted well below that, and found the probable cause was the driver failing to slow, inattention potentially associated with fatigue. The truck rolled a quarter turn, hit the barrier, caught fire, and skidded to a stop underneath the overpass. 8 minutes. That's how long it took. All 4 northbound lanes of Interstate 95 came down before the first firefighters even got there. The southbound lanes were cooked so badly they had to be torn out too. 9 miles of the East Coast's main artery, 150,000 vehicles a day, 14,000 of them trucks, just gone. The driver, Nathan Moody, 53, died in his truck. The cost of Cottman Avenue is the sentence nobody wants to say out loud. An off-ramp advisory speed is not a suggestion when you are carrying 8,500 gallons of fuel and there is an interstate over your head. Number 6, the Brent-Spence Bridge, Cincinnati to Covington. This one is dangerous by design decision. It opened in 1963, built for 80,000 vehicles a day, 3 lanes each way, with emergency shoulders. In the mid-1980s, they wanted more capacity, so they painted out the shoulders and made it 4 lanes. That's it. That's the fix. Today, it carries around 155,000 vehicles a day, including 30,000 trucks, over $1 billion of freight every 24 hours, and it has been listed as functionally obsolete since the 1990s. Here's what no shoulders means in numbers. The OKI Regional Council says you are 3 to 5 times more likely to wreck on the Brent-Spence corridor than anywhere else on the interstate system in Ohio or Kentucky. And then on November 11th, 2020, at 2:45 in the morning, a semi jackknifed on the lower deck. A second truck hauling potassium hydroxide hit it. The fire burned hot enough and long enough that inspectors couldn't get on the structure for a full day because the steel was still cooling. 6-week shutdown. That's the closure that pushed all those semis onto the Roebling back at number 17. The cost of the Brent-Spence is that there is no place to put a problem. 4 lanes wide, 0 lanes of margin, and everybody in freight knows it. Number 5, the Hernando de Soto Bridge, Interstate 40 at Memphis, May 11th, 2021. A contractor on a routine inspection finds a fracture in a 900-foot steel beam so wide he can nearly see the Mississippi through it. He gets on the phone to 911. We need to get people off the bridge immediately. 45,000 vehicles a day were crossing that thing, about 25% of them trucks. Arkansas Department of Transportation director said flatly that it had the potential to become a catastrophic event. Nobody knew how long the crack had been there. A state engineer figured a couple of weeks. It had passed inspection the previous fall in fair condition, 6 out of 10. They shut the bridge. They shut the river too, over 1,000 barges stacked up waiting. A University of Memphis engineer put it as well as anyone. Cut this and you've given the country a heart attack. Months, not weeks. All of that freight went onto the Interstate 55 bridge, which is over 70 years old. The cost of the Hernando de Soto is the quietest one on this list. Nothing hit it. No driver made a mistake. Metal just got tired. Number 4, the Sunshine Skyway, Tampa Bay. May 9th, 1980, at 7:33 in the morning, a 606-foot freighter, riding high and empty, lost radar in a freak squall with winds of 70 miles per hour and hit a support pier of the southbound span. 1,200 feet of interstate fell 150 feet into the bay. 6 cars, a truck, and a Greyhound bus went with it. 35 people died. One driver, a car dealer named Richard Hornbuckle, skidded to a stop 14 inches from the edge. 14 inches. The new Skyway opened in 1987 with a taller, wider channel ringed with concrete dolphins built specifically to eat a ship. But here's why this one still belongs on a 2026 list. In March 2025, the NTSB put the Sunshine Skyway on a list of 68 American bridges it wants vulnerability assessments for. Bridges built before 1991 that might not survive a vessel strike. The cost of the Skyway is the one you can't drive around. You can check your brakes, you can check your height, you cannot check the ship. Number 3, the Francis Scott Key Bridge, Baltimore. March 26, 2024, 1:30 in the morning. The dolly lost power and put a container ship into a support pier, and the Key Bridge, 1.6 miles long, opened in 1977, came down like matchsticks. 6 road workers filling potholes died. And here's the trucking part, the part that's still happening today. About 4,900 trucks use that bridge every day, $28 billion in goods a year. But the key wasn't just a bridge, it was the hazardous materials route. Baltimore's 2 harbor tunnels ban hazardous loads, propane, bulk gasoline, and explosives, and always have. The Key Bridge was built partly so those trucks would have a legal way across the harbor. Take it away and every hazardous materials load gets a 30 to 35 mile detour around the whole Baltimore Beltway. 40 minutes in perfect traffic, and traffic hasn't been perfect since. So what happened? Reporters sat between the 2 tunnels for a few hours and counted 40 tanker trucks going through the harbor tunnel, more than a dozen wearing placards that are flat out prohibited in there. Drivers were openly saying at truck stops, "I will just take my placards down." In the month before the collapse, there had been 0 hazardous materials inspections on that corridor. The cost of the Key Bridge is the compromise that gets made when a legal route disappears and the pay per mile doesn't change. As one MDTA lieutenant put it, if we have 1 tanker stopped, there may be 3 that go by. Number 2, the Chesapeake Bay Bridge, Maryland. 4 1/3 miles between Annapolis and Kent Island, and there is nothing else in America with a fear economy built around it. For over 2 decades, a company called Kent Island Express has made a living driving other people's vehicles across this bridge. $40 cash. They meet you at a way station, you get in the passenger seat, they take the wheel. 12 to 15 riders a day on average, up to 40 on a busy summer day, including one man who used it twice a day, 5 days a week. Pre-pandemic, they were doing around 7,000 crossings a year. The Maryland Transportation Authority police used to do it themselves until 2007, and when they stopped, private companies filled the gap. The owner has a name for what his customers feel, the Christopher Columbus fear. You can't see over the crest, so some part of your brain insists the road ends. Now, the trucking side. Maryland's wind rules on this bridge are unusually blunt. Gusts over 40 for 15 minutes, and empty box trailers are done. Sustained over 50, and it goes to full restriction, and the rule reads like this: a tractor box trailer combination cannot cross if the gross weight is under 64,000 pounds. Not should not, cannot. The state has run the numbers and decided that below that weight, physics wins. Over 55, and they hold everybody. The cost of the Bay Bridge is that it's the only place in America where being light is the disqualifying condition, where the state looks at your load, does the math, and tells you that you're not heavy enough to be safe. And the most feared bridge in America for a truck driver is the Chesapeake Bay Bridge-Tunnel, Cape Charles to Virginia Beach, 23 miles, open Atlantic on one side, Chesapeake Bay on the other, 2 lanes each way, and no shoulder worth the name. And twice on the crossing, the road you're on stops being a bridge and dives underwater into a tunnel so ships can pass overhead, which means you commit to a 2-lane tube in the middle of the ocean with a wall on your right and a wall on your left, and nothing behind you but everybody who followed you in. The CBBT runs its own police department. It runs graduated wind levels. Level 1 kills camper trailers and towed cargo. Level 2 drops the limit to 45, bans passing, and requires tractor trailers to gross 15,000 pounds of payload on top of the rig just to be allowed on. Here's why it's number 1. February 9th, 2017. Winds around 40 to 47, legal. Level 1 was in effect, no restriction on his configuration at all. Joseph Chen, 47, of Greenville, North Carolina, hauling seafood, went through the guardrail and off the southbound span into the bay, and he survived the fall. He climbed out and stood on the roof of his floating truck in water at 45 degrees. A Navy helicopter got to him a little after 1 o'clock. He died on the way to the hospital in Norfolk. The bridge tunnel's own deputy director gave the AP the number that same day. Since it opened in 1964, 12 people have gone off that bridge. 10 of them died. That is an 83% fatality rate on a facility your dispatcher treats like any other route, and it hasn't stopped. A Purdue driver, Ronnie Andrews, 61, went overboard on that same southbound span and did not survive. Everything this countdown has shown you lives on those 23 miles. The wind of Mackinac, the exposure of the Atchafalaya, the no-shoulder commitment of the Brent Spence, the Christopher Columbus fear of the Bay Bridge. Except here the fall is into the ocean, and the restriction table might not even be on when it happens. Chen's truck faced no travel restriction at all. The cost of the Chesapeake Bay Bridge-Tunnel is everything. It is the only crossing in America where the state's own official can tell a reporter on the record the number of people it has taken, and the number is out of 12. So that's the 20. From a 1940 railroad trestle in Durham that has been peeling roofs off trucks for 18 years, all the way out to 23 miles of 2-lane road standing in the Atlantic. And notice what the list kept whispering. Almost none of these killed anybody with one trick. It's the low clearance plus the consumer GPS. It's the wind plus the empty trailer. It's the off-ramp plus the fatigue. It's the fracture plus the inspection that missed it. The drivers who get hurt on bridges are almost never missing skill. They are missing one piece of information that nobody handed them. And there's a number underneath all of this you should carry. The 2025 Federal Bridge Inventory says 35% of American bridges, nearly 220,300 of them, need major repair or replacement. About 41,600 are rated poor. The estimated bill is $467 billion. Those spans are already under you. They were under you this morning. So do the boring things. Know your height to the inch, not to the memory. Run commercial routing, not the phone. Read the wind board before the toll, not after. And when a bridge is posted, believe it, because every single posting on this list exists because somebody didn't. Now it's your turn. Drop the bridge that taught you respect in the comments, the span where you gripped the wheel a little tighter, the low bridge you almost took, the crossing you route around to this day. Somebody running it tomorrow morning hasn't learned it yet. And if this list is riding shotgun with you now, subscribe. It's still about the only thing left in trucking that's free. Until next time, keep the rubber side down, the shiny side up, and know your height before you know your route.